안녕하세요, 여러분, and welcome to my channel. Today we will find out how Koreans count. 숫자. 숫자 means number. Koreans have two methods when they count. The first method is known as Sino-Korean, and the second one is known as Native Korean. Sino-Korean or Hanja or Su, this has been adapted from Chinese years ago. While Native Korean, or known as Goyu or Su, is what is widely used in their everyday communication, but they use it simultaneously, which you will find out in our succeeding lessons. But for today, we're going to focus on Sino-Korean, on how they use it in counting. Okay, so we will count. We will start with 0. Normally, it is known as young. But if you use 0 when you talk about phone numbers, it is pronounced as gong. Now, how do they say the number 1? So we have il for number 1. Number 2 is e. Number 3 is sam. Number 4 is sa. 5 is o. 6 is hyuk. So let us try first the first numbers that we have on the screen. 따라하세요. Repeat after me. gong, 영, 일, 이, 삼, 사, 오, 육. It's very easy. You now have counted from 0 to number 6. 7 is chill, while 8 is pal. 9 is gu, and 10 is ship. So again, let us repeat from 0 to 10. Gong or yang, il, i, sam, sa, o, hyuk, chill, pal, gu, ship. 잘했어요. Now, what if we want to continue with 11 to 19? If you want to continue counting from numbers 11 to 19, you just mention how to count the number 10, which is ship, and then you will repeat again the numbers from 1 to 9. So 11 will be read as ship il. 12 will be counted as ship e. 13 is ship sam. 14 is ship sa. 15 is ship o. 16 is shimyuk. The sound changes, not really ship yuk, it's shimyuk. And ship chill for 17. Ship pal for 18. Ship gu for 19. And then for 20, it becomes e-ship. And then you continue that way. You just add the words for numbers 1 to 9 again. E-ship il, e-ship e, e-ship sam, e-ship sa, and so on and so forth. How do you say 30? That's sam ship. 40, sa ship. 50, o ship. 60, yuk ship. 70 is chill ship. 80 is pal ship. And 90 is gu ship. While 100 is now called as bek. And then you continue counting that way again. Bek il, bek I, bek sam, bek sa. And then when you reach 1000, it becomes chon. When it becomes 10,000, it'll be man. 100,000 will be ship man. 1 million will be bek man. And 10 million will be chon man. Why do we have to study, or why do we have to memorize the Sino-Korean numbers? First, if you want to go to Korea, they refer to their money using the Sino-Korean numbers. So money, an example of that will be 10,000, and the Korean won is their currency. So 10,000 won is read as man won, because previously I taught you that 10,000 is referred to as man. And then you add the word of the currency in Korea, which is won. Man won, 10,000 won. They also use it for phone numbers, mobile numbers. And that is known as Jonwa Bonu. If someone asks you for your Jonwa Bonu, then the person is asking for your phone number. Now, how do you give your number? In this example, we have 00234561870. So you're going to say Gonggong I Samsa Oyuk Ilpalchilgong. Okay? You repeat after me. Gonggong I Samsa Oyuk Ilpalchilgong. And also, they use it, the Sino-Korean numbers are used to refer to items or numbers in a test. Example for listening test. If you are planning to pursue your education in the Korean language in the future, you might want to take the language proficiency test, which is known as TOPIK, and they always include listening test. You will have to be particular with the Sino-Korean numbers, because during dictation, this is what you're going to hear. For example, ilbon. Ilbon means number 1. Ibon, number 2. Sambon, number 3. So if you're not particular with the Sino-Korean numbers, you will get lost during the listening test. So it's very important that you memorize these numbers. Also, they use it to refer to dates. The month, which is known as wol. So in our case, in our country, we refer to our months of the year by saying January, February, March, April, May, until December. But in Korea, they refer to dates by counting from numbers 1 to 12, and they add the word wol. So they refer to January as ilwol, February as iwol, March as samwol, and then April as sawol, and so on and so forth. It goes that way until you go to number 12. And then also for the days of the month from 1 to 30 or sometimes 1 to 31, the word to refer to days will be il. So you just add the numbers before the word il. Example, number 1 is also il. So you say il. Day 2 is, or the second day is il. Day 3 is sam-il. Day 4 is sa-il. So it goes that way until you get to number 30 or 31. Also, they use it to tell time. Although Koreans, when they talk about time, it's a mixture of the native Korean and the Sino-Korean numbers. They use the native Korean numbers to talk about the hours, while the minutes, they use the Sino-Korean numbers. So example, if we talk about minutes, it's known as bun. Normally our teachers would say 30분 쉬세요. It means 30 is 30. 분 means minutes. 30분 쉬세요. It means you can take a rest for 30 minutes or take a break for 30 minutes. So that is also important in telling time. Let's take a look at this example. Example, we want to read 14,000. How do we read it? Using the Sino-Korean numbers. So we read it as, okay, we know that the value of 10,000 is man. So if you're going to look at the place value here without focusing in number 4, you will see that it is composed of 5 digits. So we mentioned first man, and then next we focus on the thousand place, which is number 4. What is number 4 again in Sino-Korean? Il isam sa. So it is sa. So you have to keep on counting. If you can't remember, you go back to il isam sa o yuk chil pal gu ship until you remember. So number 4 is sa. And then the remaining part will be read as the thousand, which is chon. So we read 14,000 as man sa chon. So if you're going to say 14,000 won, man sa chon won imnida. Man sa chon won iyeyo. How about 800? If we remember, we say that hundreds are, the 100 is known as bek. So how do we read 800? Can you remember what 8 is when you count? So let us start again from il, I, sam, sa, o, yuk, chil, pal. So number 8 is pal. And then we will just mention the word for the 100 or the 100, which is bek. So it is known as, so it will be read as palbek. So if we're talking about money, then you will say palbek imnida, palbek iyeyo. How about this? 1,500. If you're going to notice, if it's number 1 in front, we don't mention il anymore. They drop it. You're just going to say the value of it. So here, because it's a value of 1,000 with 500, so we will mention the value of 1,000 first, which is chon. Then we will mention the value of 500. So 5 is, let me count again with you. So il, I, sam, sa, o. So 5 is O, and then you're going to mention the value for 100 or hundreds, which is bek. So this is read as chon ubek. Chon ubek won iyeyo. Chon ubek won imnida. How about if we change it a little? So let's try. Okay, let us change the numbers slightly. 24,000, for example. 20,000, if we remember, it should be read as man. So if you're going to remember, 10,000 is man, 20,000 is man. So we read it as man. And then we read 4,000 by saying the value of 4, which is sa, and the thousands value, which is the 1000 value, which is chon. So we read this as iman 사천. 따라하세요. 이만 사천. Next, let us try 900. So if you try to remember 900, count with me from numbers 1 to 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this should be gu. And then the value of the 100, we call it as bek. So we say gubek. 따라하세요. gubek. Next is 2600. How do we say that in Korean? If we remember, we say 1000 is chon. So if you want to say 2000, we say ichon. What is the value of 6 in 600? How do we say 6? It is, please count with me. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this should be yuk. And then you refer to the 100, the value of 100 as bek. So we say ichon yuk bek. Very good. Okay, so let us review again. How do we say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? We say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We say 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then when you want to say number 11, you say 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So that's number 11 to 15. If you want to say 16, 17, 18, 19, you say 16, 17, 18, 19, and then it becomes 20. How do you say 20? It's 20. And then you continue again with counting that way. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and then 30 is 30. And then it goes that way again. And then you go to 40, which is 40, 50 as 50, 60 as 60, 70 as 70, 80 as 80, 90 is 90, and again you go to 100, then it becomes bek. When you get to 1000, then you will say chon. Then if you want to say 2000, it becomes ichon. 3000 is samchon. 4000 is sachon. So you just add the same numbers. And when you go to 10,000, then it will become man. And the counting continues. So example, in the Philippines, how do we say our phone numbers? Example will be 092936578831. How are you going to say that in Sino-Korean numbers? 0929 365 7831. Very good. Now you can try to mix these numbers, or you can try to use your own phone number and study the Sino-Korean. So you can also talk to your friends using the Sino-Korean numbers. 감사합니다. I hope that you can now explore using the Sino-Korean numbers. You can practice by using it in currency, also in phone numbers, and a lot more. Thank you for watching, and I hope that you click the like button and subscribe.